Thank you, Uber Fuzzy, for the 29 months. Hello, and welcome to this late edition of the Blue House Bull Session. We are here finally. I am here finally. Fuzzy was here. Fuzzy was already ready already. He's sending messages. He's emoting in the chat, and I'm just zonked out. 15 minutes turned into 90.
It's Green Day. It's podcast day.
Yeah. World's a difference. It does when you like. I even had that in mind all day, and then I'm like, okay, I did not get a middle of the day break as an old man, so I took my middle of the day break at the end of the day.
This is something I am terrified of. Working night shift.
Yeah.
Okay. Normal people. Okay. You go to bed at night. You wake up. You get ready, and you go to work. You know, you wake up at, we'll say 7, you get ready, you drive to work, you work your 9 to 5. But you sleep, you wake up, and then you go to work. So your day, you do your day immediately after sleeping. So it's the start of your day. And then you come home, and then you have some time after work, dinner, chores, whatever, and then you go back to sleep. It terrifies me of oversleeping and missing going to work.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
And it's like, and I've asked people at work this, they're like, when you come into work, did you just wake up and it's the start of your day? Or have you been up for a while? Is it like, do you have like a gap on either side, or is it like the end of your day? And I've gotten all 3 responses from people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And one guy's like, no, when I get off here, I'm awake for a while, and then I go lay down about 2 or 3 in the afternoon and get, 5-6 hours like real people actually do. And then I get up and I come here. But his longer period is after his work. So it's during the day, during the sun hours. So he can go and do stuff with his wife and kids and family and stuff. He loses his afternoons. And I'm like, that terrifies me, because then you're tired from work and then tired from having your day, and then you're trying to get some sleep. And he's like, I'm just really good at waking up to an alarm. I have people there to make sure I'm awake, and I'm like, I'm alone. I don't know if my phone alarm's gonna go off. Like, I put it on the charger and stuff, so it's ready to go when I get up. But like, there's nobody there to like, hey, your alarm has been going up you have to get up. I'm just terrified of that. And, you know,
And another thing I've noticed that I want to call out, and I have done this, and I will not happily, but I will publicly admit that I have done this, is in the slew of medical whatnots I've faced, I've had some pretty serious trouble sleeping. It's not apnea related. I mean, I do snore a little bit, but it's not like a breathing thing. It's more trouble getting to sleep in the first place. When I get there, I can stay there okay, and I sleep decently when I do. But no matter how many alarms I set, no matter what I set to wake me up, and there are things that work better that have helped a lot, but there are no, where this is all headed is I too am terrified of being asleep when it is time to be at work, even though I have a remote job where it's like my commute is from across the hall, or in cases like Monday from the chase behind me, because I could not get comfortable and sleep on Monday night. I have been asleep when it was time to be at work. I have absolutely received messages before from my boss, "Hey, just checking in. We missed you at stand up this morning. Are you doing okay?" And I'll, in those instances message back and be like, "No." "Hello, it is now 11 at the start of my 9 o'clock day. Good morning. Thank you for the message. Sorry I missed you. I am now awake. I'll make up the hours, but this is embarrassing and terrifying." And where I'm headed with all of this is that both of us have worked multiple paths on the career roller coaster in different scenarios. And you were at a
mm-hmm. No, I'm not. Yes, because if you're not there, you don't get paid. When your salary, it's like they expect 40 hours out of you, and they kind of expect it at, a regular time period, but you get paid. Let's be honest, out of that 40-hour week, some weeks you work 60, some weeks you work 20. It's, some days you have a 16-hour day, some days you would do 4 hours of work, and the rest of it's just staring at the wall or staring at your phone. It does, being remote also doesn't really help that. But tech jobs are so elastic in the amount of output you have to provide at any one time, but you get paid regardless because there's no way to track that. Realistically, at my job, and Larry, if you're listening, you didn't hear any of this. No, honestly, I could probably get the work they allot me for 8 hours. I could probably get it done in a lot less. And one of my coworkers is like, "Oh, yeah, let's hurry get like," or you could just move a little bit slower, not kill yourself, because we're here for 8 hours anyways. If putting up these carts takes 3 hours, we still have 5 hours of other crap of either nothing to do, or if it takes us 5 hours, we have 3 hours of nothing to do. No, no, there is though. There we are running out. We I'm I'm slowly fixing their horrible systems, and I'm pointing out that, like, hey, if you don't do this dumb thing, this whole domino of stuff doesn't happen, and you don't get this backlog in the back. If you don't hide stuff on the shelf and you actually put it in the backlog, the system won't auto buy more when it thinks we're lower than what we actually have. It knows we have a backlog. Even if it drops below the minimum, it'll like, hey, go get the stuff out of the back before just ordering another 24 cans of the thing when you think we have 13 on the shelf and we actually have 20 on the shelf because you put them in another section because it was over full. The auto replenishment system handles this, and we don't end up with these problems. Hey, if you don't order, if you correctly put stuff in the back, this doesn't happen. Then we don't have backlog. Then we don't have to go through backlog. I've given up not caring, and I'm trying to fix the systems because it creates more dumb work, not busy work. It creates dumb work. And nobody at this job has realized any of these things, and it terrifies me. The boss and his sub-boss have both been there for 20 years. One guy's literally retiring, and he's been doing effectively this type of job at the entire, chain of history of this company's for years. And it's like, he's never realized some of these things. My boss has been doing night stock manager. He was a day manager for a long time. He's only done for the last 7 years. The other guy I work with has been doing it for 2 or 3. And I'm rolling in there after 3 months and like, hey, if you just don't do this, none of these things happen. And they're like, oh yeah, I never thought about that. And I'm like, how does nobody pick just like, I know I have a unique set of life experiences, and I have a programmer brain, and I see data and not physical items, but it's like, come on. Mhm. Uh, you're not coming through on stream. Yeah.
Interesting. Well, that's no good. I'll have to go back and fix this. Boy, I probably should have been recording. Interesting. The point is, wow, how did I do that? I think I coughed and I muted and I forgot to unmute. Because I have a separate thing. I have a separate thing for, because you'll still hear me when I cough, but I mute myself in OBS and blah blah
Right.
blah blah blah. The point is, for a lot of people, they don't. You and I see it as a grievous miscarriage of logic when things are done in a stupid way without any sort of explanation. And we'll take a bad explanation, but we need an explanation. But for the overwhelming majority of people, for the people who are there for their $3 an hour, they very much invest themselves in not caring because otherwise they get the reward for caring, which is more work and less recognition.
The young guy I work with called me out and says, "You care too much." I was going off on a rant. You care too much. Like, no, I don't care about the store.
Mm-hmm.
I care about the system working because it's like a game to me of inventory management.
Yeah.
Of trying to balance how much to order, that's trying to match the order rate to the sell rate to keep a little bit on hand, but not too much back stock, and try to keep that down because, like, oh, get too much back stock, it expires, it gets lost, store loses money, we get hours cut, and it's like trying to keep the profits up. It's like, I don't care about the store. I care about keeping the system alive
because it directly impacts. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, oh, I never thought about that. I'm like, That's why they pay us weekly, is that their hours allocation come directly from their sales the week before.
Yeah.
So if they have less losses, that doesn't cut into the profits, and they have more profits to send to payroll hours, and we get hours. That's why I care about people throwing a case and it dings aside and all 4 cans on that side of the thing, are dented and have to be damaged out. Don't do that.
Yeah.
It's
It is not my interest in the profit of the company at all whatsoever. I don't care if the company burns to the ground, with the exception that the company is directly responsible for where my livelihood comes from, and I have a vested interest in my livelihood, and I can paint you a direct connection.
yes.
That's what it boils down to.
And on some note, yes, I do care too much for how little I make. But then again, I cared this same level. I cared this level when I was making way more money than I'm making now.
Yeah.
But I gave that same 120% between 110 and 120% all the time when I made, I'll be honest, about 5 times as much. It's
there's a not just the disparity in it, but there's a difference in what you care about. You care too much, but you wear a hat when you're not supposed to, or you don't wear a hat when you're supposed to. One of the two ways, the dress code thing. That's the clearest sign to me, the parts that matter to you. And the parts that matter to you are things that are manageable and have a noticeable impact.
Yeah.
How you appear.
I care about the things that actually have an effect.
Yeah.
And I quickly identify that. That's why I always ask, why? Because if you tell me we just do it because that's what you're supposed to do, I'm like, no. What effect does me doing this have?
Right.
Because if me doing this has no effect, I'm going to stop doing it. If me doing it this way, if me actually caring about putting them out and scanning them into the back stock and doing this stuff means they don't get overbought and overstocked and okay, I'm going to fix this because it has a domino effect that directly affects me.
There is, and I'm going to wax all technology for a minute here, and I'm going to try not to give too terribly much away, although I'm probably doing so and going to get in trouble for it. We have had requests at my day job recently to add changes to our software to meet a certain government security requirement.
Yeah.
Okay, the changes we have been asked to make are not things that necessarily directly relate to security. Hashing. The principle, you take a whole bunch of data, you run it through an algorithm, and you get a much shorter signature or thumbprint.
Yeah.
There are a bunch of different algorithms you can use to do this. Yes, we're going to NIST compliance. Which means that you are not supposed to use certain algorithms like SHA-256 for hashing things, like passwords.
Well, no, you never. Hashing is not cryptographic, but if you're going to hash, SHA-256 is a good one, but
yes,
not for encrypting passwords. No, because you can brute force them.
Right? No, absolutely.
Yeah.
So NIST compliance says do not use SHA-256 for hashing, for encryption.
For encryption, well, hashing is not encryption. There's your first flaw. Yeah.
So because it is a government standard, NIST says do not use SHA-256 for hashing because it could be used improperly for encryption.
Oh no. So they're banning it from being used anywhere. Even though it's a perfectly good, better than probably one of the better hashing signatures out there.
But they understand that this can be a problem, so there's an allowance for it. And they say, here are several other algorithms you can use. They are provided in the system libraries on blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
So you have to be using the latest version of the system libraries.
Okay.
Or Or they have automated tooling that can detect what you're doing too. Code-based scanners, static analysis.
Right.
So if it detects the letters SHA and the numbers 256 in your code anywhere. Now, none of this functionally impacts how our product works.
Right.
None of the behavior of our program is actually going to change. But we have to rename how we're calculating these thumbprints everywhere in the code that's not using the latest version of the cryptography libraries because they're what provide the hashing algorithms. Blah, 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 blah. This doesn't change anything that a user will ever see. Nothing in the behavior of the software changes for the users, for the administrators, for anything. But it is now one of our highest priority initiatives. Because it allows us to check a box that allows us to get government contracts. Now that because goes back to what we were talking about in terms of the importance of things.
Yeah.
I disagree with it, but I now 100% understand why this is taking priority over customer reported issues. Because customer reported issues come from people who already gave us money. And NIST compliance enables new people to give us money.
That's an interesting way to balance that. Because is there more value in getting new, bigger money from government level things, which might be more bigger money versus existing smaller money?
Yeah.
We always had to balance that at the old Red Company. Is there was in the early days, it really wasn't worth it. Like that's why there was a minimum account charge.
Yeah.
Like no matter if you used 1 byte of traffic a month, your minimum bill was $50.
Yeah.
Most of our customers had bills with commas in them in the month.
Yeah.
If they were still on monthly pricing, But it's like it was entirely to deter small customers because the importance of a customer was irrelevant to their amount they gave us.
Right.
We treated every customer the same, whether your bill was $10,000 a month or $100 a month. We gave a shit the same amount for every person.
But to get into that club, you needed some kind of blockade. Otherwise, you were going to hit a Pareto problem. The 80-20 rule on a $20 customer. Yeah. And where I work, we are starting to adopt that approach. And it is a long time coming. And I've always been one of those people who adheres to the idea of give everyone the same service and make sure that service is good. I understand it. I champion it. I'm an old person, so I have old person beliefs. You give everyone your best. But at a certain point of scale and economics, this is the way it kind of has to work.
Yeah.
And
towards the tail end, there was a shift from, okay, we've got all the big customers, basically. We've got the bigger, all the whales are basically assigned, and it was slowly increasing the weave of the net to let smaller and smaller groups in. Until
grow out and grow down,
Yeah. And by the end, it was, okay, now we can actually accommodate through economies of scale or just automation or the system's built out and we have more people, we can handle mom and pop that's like, hey, my flower website that I get tens of views a week on isn't caching correctly. Can you have one of your engineers spend hours looking at my caching rules? It's like, it's because none of your images, all your images coming off your domain and not the domain that you're actually caching with us.
Yeah.
Because you didn't want to transfer flowersbyirene.com to us. You put images.flowers.byirene through Fastly. And none of your images are coming from that. So they're not being cached. That's why none of your site's being cached correctly.
Yeah.
But to spend hours debugging that is the same as if, like, big unnamed content provider comes to us and says, why aren't these profile pictures? Like, oh, because somebody put a typo and it's at I images or p images dot whatever domain, and it's supposed to be I images. You know, it's like, or L images because somebody stop using sans serif fonts and anything where the letters actually matter. You can use smooth fonts and anything humans are reading.
Yeah.
If anything that is machine readable or typable where the characters actually have any significance should be in monospaced serifed fonts. And the zeros should have slashes through them, and they should there's even one that's specific. Google made a monofont specifically for this to completely unambiguate the ones.
All the characters are distinct. Yeah.
Any of the ones are like, we don't even like. We found out years ago that like, in fact, I think I actually have one here. Most gift cards. Oh no, they're not here. They're upstairs. Anyway, most gift cards with codes on them don't have zeros or L's or I's or anything on them anywhere to prevent that. Just like the character says like just missing like 4 or 5 letters. So you like, is that an I or an L? It's like, no, it's neither. Those will never be on there.
Yeah. Or if you use one of them, you use exactly one and you auto-replace the rest. Is that an I or an L or a 1? It doesn't matter. It's this character now. You put in an I, oh, it's supposed to be an L. It's an L now. You put in an O, it's supposed to be a 0. It's a 0 now. We fixed it for you. It's best if you don't even leave room for that ambiguity. Yeah, that is very understandable. That's one of the reasons I like... I don't know what the word is for this, where you assign combinations of words to things instead of arbitrary strings of characters. Like Twitch clips. The names are made out of arbitrary words instead of combinations of individual characters.
Oh.
I
don't know if there's a...
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an easier way to identify. There's a couple libraries I used to use for this, depending on which language I was in.
Yeah.
But it was just a way to identify. It's basically the same thing. It's just hashing, but instead of, if you need to bookmark it and send to somebody, or the old joke of everybody on the internet had memorized the YouTube URL for
Rickroll.
The Rickroll is like, oh, I know what that is because I know the short URL code for that. I can tell right what video that is. If those had that, I sent a clip to somebody, I know those, horse battery staple. It's like, oh, I already know what that clip is. I've already seen that. You can tell from the URL because it's words.
Yeah.
It is just hashing with words opposed to characters.
Exactly. You treat each word as a series of not its literal bytes, but a representation into some list of whatever. An array of 2 bytes can be easily... Here, each word is assigned 2 bytes.
It's the same way, like, now imagine if every word in those lists that those URLs are made of were things that were in the emoji set.
Yeah.
And instead of the word horse and battery, you just replaced those 5 letters for horse with a single emoji of a horse.
Yep.
And oh look, you've turned a word into a single character. So now your URL that is 5 words long is just 5 emoji. Guess what? You're just back to hashing again.
Yeah. Evil assiduous orca corgi derp.
And that's how we get back to, Chinese. Because that's basically what they did.
Ideogrammatic languages, or at least basically ideogrammatic languages, yeah. Fuzzy.
Japanese where context matters.
It does. I'm going to send you a video, not necessarily to share yet, but I want to tell everyone else about an event coming up. My friends over at Zeldathon will be working with the team over at Multithon this weekend. In fact, we're doing a small segment where we're doing Zeldathon takeover of Multithon. And around 8 p.m. Eastern on Saturday, I'll make sure to blast the link in the Discord. So if you're not in the Discord, make sure you're hanging out in there. Several of us will be getting together and playing some Zelda games. I'm not going to give away the whole gimmick, but I'll say that the video I sent you is related. But
Okay.
But
What you should do,
yeah,
instead of using 3 triangles, which are very identifiable and potentially copyrighted, you should make the triangle thing out of hexagon shapes that the money is made out of,
yeah.
and make the monies out of triangles.
I'm
But keep
playing
the
with
colors
it, but
the same. This way, they're like, I see the shapes there. It's one of those basically just like do a graphic spoonerism.
yeah.
It's like, wait, no, the colors are right but wrong, but all the wait.
Well,
Legally,
we had the team meeting last night, and I talked to Clinkett a bit. By the way, I talked to Clinkett a bit. We're good.
yeah.
And this accidentally came out of it, and I started it last night, and I have other things I need to do. Yes, they spin. That's why I went with that assignment of shapes, is they spin. But Saturday, make sure you tune into Multithon on Saturday. That's the important part. I will make sure everybody has the link, but come see whatever Fuzzy is over here rambling about that I won't show you publicly yet. It's going to be funny. It's going to be funny. Yeah, I'm excited for that. I'm excited for that. We had our discussion around things for the upcoming Voyage event, which I am also very excited for. I'm pretty hyped. I'm pretty hyped. Summer's looking to be a good one for stuff. I am going to have to take some time off of work. Speaking of which, I will be taking my first day off this week of the year. Okay, technically we had Employee Appreciation Day, but I'm not counting that because we switched to that unlimited PTO policy, which I'm still very uneasy about. But I will be taking Friday as my first day of unlimited PTO for the year because I have stuff I gotta do for Multithon, and I have a meeting with our friend the Redhead.
I would make sure. Okay, what you do is you go Google a calendar of official bank holidays and stuff, and see how it aligns with your company. We get these days off. This is already a 3-day weekend and stuff.
Yeah.
So you don't do it on these weeks, but at least once a month, go find one day, either a Monday or Friday, where it's not too inconvenient. It's not already a 3-day weekend on the other end.
Yeah.
Just because whatever. Make sure you go plan out right now. And by right now, I mean 2 months ago. You plan out at least one day a month and put that in, like, I need to take PTO on this day. Get those booked in so your boss can say, well, we're behind. It's like, no, I already had this planned. You don't have to give a reason. Just go take one day of your unlimited PTO, at least one day every month, and be like, just you give yourself a 3-day weekend when there hasn't been one for a while.
The thing is,
just book it now.
The thing is, my boss is so supportive of this idea that he keeps pressuring me to do this, and it's never been him that I'm worried about. It's the fact that the way they are structuring the unlimited PTO puts a handful of dotted line people in charge of what used to be a very clear 3-way conversation. Me, my direct supervisor, and the handbook. And that was it.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, pre-book them, so it's not like I just need to take a day off. They're like, no, you have work. We're behind. Like, if you have it scheduled, it's harder for them to deny it.
Right.
And then you don't forget. Oh, I haven't taken a personal day off in a while. You have it booked already. Like, a week this summer you're going to be off doing things. You have that booked.
Yeah.
But go book unlimited PTO months in advance so you don't forget to take some, and you're like, well, I haven't taken a day off in 10 years.
Yeah. Ooh, hey, best viewers on streambootspace.com patreon.com, remove the space, at Ovid23K. Hey, I was reading that! What if I needed the best? We've already got the best viewers. Thank you very much, bot, but we already have the best viewers here. Interesting.
How do you not have
Lazy.
Stream Boo? Oh.
I don't have anything in my anything yet. That's something we should do next time I have copious free time. Is go through and actually set up some of that moderation stuff for me, like a real person.
Nah.
I know both of my viewers usually take care of it pretty quickly. I had a chance. We talked about this a little bit at dinner on Monday. I had a chance to play Repo recently.
Oh.
It is fun. I want to make a horror game. These two things are connected. It's not anything high priority. I want to figure out what the heck I want to make first, but I think I want to make a tiny throwaway horror game just so that I have made a psychological thriller experience, you know?
Oh. Okay, I'm gonna let you finish, but as soon as you're done, there's a thing I want to say out loud, but I remembered to mention it on the podcast.
Okay, I'm done. Mention it on the podcast.
Okay, I am saying this because at the end of the thing, they're always like, hey, even if you can't support us on Patreon, just spread the word, get other people, spread the word about it.
Yeah.
There's a podcast I found that I really love for two reasons. It's called Escape This Podcast. It's an audio escape room. They have people come on and run an escape room, but it's kind of like an escape room / D&D type thing where like it's not just like imagine a click adventure, but the other side's like a human being that can kind of like give you more subtle clues. But it's like an interactive audio escape room.
Oh man!
But what's great is they'll run it with they'll have a guest or something, and then the next episode is called Podcast Escape, where they have the people to like talk about it behind the scenes, and like so it's like one then the other, and it's great. It is so. Oh my god! It is. I went back like okay, it's like they kept being on Lateral with Tom Scott.
Yeah.
If you've ever seen him with Danny Stiller and I can't remember the guy's name.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's them. It's their show. It's their husband and wife. I'm like, slowly, I keep listening to Lateral, and I'm like, who are these other people? It's like I know almost all of them, and like I eventually find their other shows, and like let me actually go listen. Like I like escape room type games.
Yeah.
Like, let me see how this is since I'm listening to a lot of audio. Like this is really good. I'm just burning backwards through time, and they're always like, hey, spread the word, get more people listening, spread the show. And I just wanted to do my due diligence and mention it to people. And they're not too horribly long. I think they're usually less than an hour. And, 10 minutes of that is them bullshit in the beginning of like, hey, what's your podcast? What's your escape room history? Have you done a lot of them in real life? Or,
Yeah.
what's your table? Let's get a feel for it. Or sometimes we'll have more than one person on. And like, you are one person, you make decisions, just because they're all designed to be run by one entity.
Yeah.
However, 3 people, 3 raccoons in a trench coat. So
I'm into that. I'm definitely going to have to check that out.
It's called Escape This Podcast.
I like that.
Really, really good. They kind of go in seasons as they've been, as they have time, so they take a little time off. These two were also working on the recent expansion pack for Escape of the Golden Idol.
Yeah.
Curse of the Golden Idol game. The new one that came out, they were writers on that.
Nice.
And I'm like, I've seen this before, and it's like, and then that's blowing up too. So yeah, I'm doing my due diligence, spreading the word about it because it is actually a really, really good show. It's a really great backlog, and some of them are slightly psychological thrillers. Like there's it's never like a jump scare or anything. There was a Halloween one. It was almost Blair Witch-y.
Yeah.
but it was also designed for little kids. So it was like Blair Witch for fifth graders, spooky but not scary.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what reminded me of it. I just listened to that one the other night.
Oh, I need to add something to my Goblin Tools. Speaking of promotions, go use Goblin Tools. The web address is goblin.tools. Just go use it. Trust me. It's immensely helpful. Add that to my to-do list. I'll break it down later. I have been using that in combination with my own task tracking stuff recently, and it's been very helpful. And that's one of the reasons that you and I were talking on Monday, and I said I am not switching projects. I wanted to get this test of the 3D thing for Salvager with the 2D sprites. I wanted to test that to see how that works. Now I am going back to the last project I am working on. And having a task list helps me do that, because I can check off the box of, yes, I have done this one small diversion. I am not completely switching gears, although I did get bitten by that when I switched gears to golf in the first place. Switching gears to golf has unlocked how to do some things in sushi, and you're right, sushi's going to be one of those burn it down and start from the ground up. No,
I think the code base we have is more. The code base we have is experimental now that we have an idea of what.
Yes.
Yeah.
We will build it properly now. We have a much better idea of what we actually want to build, but we started with that and found out what we wanted to build by making things until we found something that kind of sticks.
Yeah.
Kind of like Salvager. We have some ideas for how to fix it, and we had a whole lot of problems with it, and there was definitely room for expansion, but the majority of what we had was solid. There are some things that could use changing, but I accidentally did that with golf.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, just also, technology evolved. New tools came out since then. Even just a lot of the tooling that we did for Can. Look at the difference between Madoka's Digits.
Yeah.
And Can Do, and then it's like, in the cafe, it's like, that all happened within a span of a couple of years because the tools got better.
Yeah.
We could build. It wasn't just we had to fit it in a web package to put online. Then it was can we package this as an executable? Can we package this as a real executable?
Yeah.
Not just a thinly veiled, and then get it on, package it in a way that like Steam will accept. It's like, this all happened within the space of just a few years of expertise because the tools didn't exist.
Yep. Absolutely. And staying out in the forefront of that is why tech people make too much money. There is an expectation that you will know how to use the tools, but the tools are constantly changing.
It's kind of weird if you look at like the bell curve of like how much money they make. Either you're really good at really old shit because there's lack of a people there, or you're really good at the cutting edge of shit because there's a lack of people there.
Yeah.
And it's like you either have to be at the very front or at the very tail. Like,
and that's where the money accumulates. As
much as people shit on it, it's like, if I could find one that I could tolerate, because I can tell from the beginning they're going to be horrible jobs or just scams.
Yeah.
I'm willing to bet with my PHP experience, I can go be this generation's like COBOL programmer keeping some ancient thing alive. It's like, hey, we need somebody that knows PHP from 20 years ago because our website's
in PHP 4, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, we need a PHP 4 developer. It's like, okay.
Cool. I can do that. I ain't got to learn nothing new for that.
Honestly, secretly, anybody out there, if you're still using PHP, go learn PHP 8.
Yeah.
It's so much better. Even 7 was dipping your toes in the pool. 8 is worth just diving in. I know it's going to break a lot of your code, but they fixed a lot of stuff. It is actually a pretty good language now.
Yeah.
Like, for real. It's not there's a joke. Like, there's a lot of shit they just like outright fixed. It's what we wanted in 6.
Right.
It never happened.
Right.
It got delayed and they finally did it.
Man. Yeah, no, I just put on Goblin Tools that I need to update my rotator and make sure everything on there is A, up to date, and B, that I have all the other things I want in my rotator up there. I shouldn't worry too much about my rotator up there because it's totally not sponsored. But if I'm going to shout out to people I care about, I should shout them out equally and fairly.
Okay. So you're just using the image carousel thing built into OBS, right?
Yeah.
You throw them in a directory and it just picks it up. We equally could do that as a small web
Yes.
embed.
Yes.
Okay.
And that way we could both have the same one because you and I have talked about a shared folder for it.
Right. Either like also share that I could pull and share, but also like Rotator as a service, as like a microservice. You could upload your stuff. It doesn't have to be hosted on your computer. You just embed this if you have ones that you have. Let's say you're doing a co-stream. Like we're doing, like if I was actually streaming like right now, but we wanted to have the same set of images, we could have the same podcast scene, embed the same podcast rotator, which is not your normal ones.
Yeah.
And have the same ones on our stream.
I like that.
Here is my rotator URL to give to everybody on the same stream team because it's advertising the same thing. You know, think of like Zelda-thon when they had the remote segments.
Yeah.
You could have that in there. So if it did have to be managed by somebody else, you didn't have to send the updated assets. They just plug in a URL, set the element to this size because that's how big the images are going to be in the iframe, and it is just that's how big they're going to be.
Yeah.
You know,
that is a good way to do that. I like that.
And then you just put a little S3 bucket behind it with a signed upload thing to pass it through, so they're not even served from your microserver. They're served from the bucket, so they're all cached and distributed and fast and shit.
Yeah.
Write the right caching rules in front of it because OBS will store them and not fetch them every time it rotates. Found out that's the OBS thing you're using?
Yeah.
Every time it cycles, it reloads the image.
Yeah.
You could have something that writes to those files dynamically, and when they cycle back through, it will pick it up because it detects it changes.
You sure could.
Uh-huh.
There are all sorts of horrid things you can do with that. OBS also has a plugin called Advanced Scene Switcher, which lets you do all sorts of terrible, terrible things, which I used before for the fishing stream.
Mm-hmm.
It's what the original Zelda-thon fishing stream was based on. Oh man, I have plans for that. Let me tell you. Speaking of things we should write, we had a comment come through on the forums that I responded to a bit late on the Let's Cafe forums on Steam. We need a sandbox mode.
Okay, sell it to me. What's it do?
No timer, no money. All ingredients available in the store at all times. No power-ups. Experiment with new recipes. Just a rules off button, basically.
Yes and no. I like the concept. We have more ingredients than we have store spots.
Yes, but imagine in this one, you don't have to buy recipes or power-ups, so we have the entirety of the other set of shelves now.
Doesn't matter, we still have more ingredients than we have shelf space.
I'd have to count it out. Yeah. I could believe it. I'd have to count it out, but I can believe it.
We could also very easily add a button in there to shuffle the store because we have a function that called to do that because I added it to the debug menu for entire debugging because like I need this ingredient to do it. Here, just give me a thing to reshuffle all the stuff in the store.
Yeah.
Honestly, a slightly more cleaned up public version of the secret debug menu, so you could toggle the power-ups to like play with them, see what they do, like to see if it's actually worth buying. Because maybe you want to turn on the remake one, because it just saves you physical clicking or whatever, or it's like, oh, don't buy the auto price reduction because it is just annoying. By the way, we really have to fix that.
Yeah.
Um, hmm.
But yeah,
Yeah.
it's just really got me thinking about what would and would not be good in a sandbox mode, and regardless of the way we end up doing it, assuming we end up doing it,
Turn off achievements.
turn off achievements, turn off the day-night cycle. Like I said, no money. This is purely about I'm enjoying the mechanics. You remember watch mode? This is interactive watch mode.
Yeah.
That's the intention of it.
So it's stress-free cafe.
Yes. Yes. Not just low stress, but no stress, zero stress cafe.
Is there any? I'm trying to think if there's anything we don't already have systems for. Basically, could I build this out of the existing Legos without having to craft anything new?
You would have
Everything
to
already exists.
you would have to tweak a few small things. I know in specifically the day cycle there would be a little bit, but
Why?
because of the way I'm forcing time to flow through the day, you'd have to change how that happens.
Why do we have to turn off the day-night cycle? Just let it go.
Just make the day infinitely long.
No, just let it go. What does it matter if the day ends?
Because there, in this case, I'm going to stick with the answer of because it breaks the flow of things. This is one where the intention of the mode is such that the day does not end. If I make that a requirement. The purpose of the day ending was to refresh and update numbers. If that doesn't have to happen, then it eliminates flow breaking if we prevent it from happening. But if we make a day that's just infinitely long,
I think there's too much tied to the passage of time and ticking to really remove that.
okay. But
Honestly, the only and then hide the hey, you're gonna lose all tips if you go back to the menu, which we also need to talk about.
Yeah.
We need to talk about that in general as a team, but that's a whole different conversation. But yeah, I think literally I could build this out of the existing stuff.
Yeah. I don't think it would be huge or a particularly difficult ask, and this is not the first time I've heard about it. It's the first time I've seen it posted in a public forum, but this is not the first time I've heard about it at all, so I think the support is there to get that in and get that working.
Can we call it cozy mode opposed to sandbox?
Yes, we can. We absolutely can.
Stress-free.
Yeah. Make it a checkbox on the new cafe thing.
It's like, hey, this disables having to worry about money and also any other stressors. You can't get any achievements or anything, but you can just play with no worries.
Yeah. I like that.
Everything's unlocked. We give them basically a more human usable version of the debug menu.
Yeah.
To toggle power-ups.
And above that, it's creative is what it is. It's creative. It is not survival.
Yeah, because even the places we could make everything for sale. We populate all four, 8, all the shelves.
Yeah.
However, 32 items, right?
There's 4 8s right now, right?
Yeah. So okay.
Yeah.
So we populate it with 32 ingredients. We add a shuffle button.
And you don't
If
buy a
cozy-
quantity, you just pick one and put it on the shelf, and you click to take it off.
we override the quantity. We set the quantity in the store to 99, and when you click it, it sets your inventory to 99. And then we just we have a check in there to where it deducts it out of the store, set store inventory to -1 and add yours. Just hijack that and they don't deduct it from the thing and just set to 99, not add one.
Yeah.
That's a one-line circumvention. Like that'd be real easy to do.
I think it could be fun. I think it could be neat. I'd like that.
I mean, hell, that would. Okay. Rewriting that debug menu to actually be usable would also clean up the debug menu for us, because we could just have that menu also available for us to debug in regular mode.
Yeah.
Because this way we'd not as janky just forcibly set it, because we could just use that. Because cozy mode would help us debug a lot of that stuff.
That it would. That it absolutely would. Well, good. I'm putting that on our radar then.
Yeah, give me. I think I may noodle on this tonight and then come home and build it.
I like that. I like that idea very much.
Yeah. I think this is just a couple shims for number deduction and hiding some things and one global flag check, and that's it.
And that global flag can be something we set on the save data, and we just add that because we're going to need to add bump another version for the save data, but that's okay because we're going to do that anyway. Because cosmetics has a bump for that. We'll need one additional bump from that, but blah, 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 blah. By the way, I need to reach out to our friends in testing and tell our friends in testing, hey, this is pretty well ready to go.
Yeah.
It can grow later, but it's pretty much ready to go once you guys sign off on it.
Cozy mode, huh?
Cozy mode.
I also still like the idea of, if we detect that you have your Twitch stuff connected, which means you are most likely streaming to Twitch, you have that connected to Twitch chat, we secretly extend the timer.
Yeah.
The happiness timer goes down a little bit slower to give streamers who all have ADHD, kind of easily distracted by everything, slightly longer.
No, I get that. I'm with that. I'm with that. I did actually get asked, going all the way back to the Multiton thing in the video I sent you, I did actually get asked if I wanted Let's Cafe to be part of that. And I said, I'm not going to stress that right now because of the context of this. Okay,
right.
I'll spill some beans here. We have one of our speedrunners who is going to be attempting to do a speedrun category of a popular Zelda title. And then we have a team of other people, and donations will be switching between our speedrunner, who is not allowed to play when he's not on screen, and other people. Can he finish the game if people keep throwing money to interrupt or uninterrupt him? It's Danny Music. Danny's doing a Link to the Past category, and a bunch of us are going to be channel flips away. So that's why I'm like, oh, hey, I've got 3 days. Why don't I write a whole new game for it? You know. But this one's cute. And this one scratches an itch for a couple other people for a gimmick that they've wanted for a while anyway. So If it happens to come together the way I want it to, cool.
Uh, 14 had a big patch come out yesterday,
Yeah.
and it went down for not a 24-hour maintenance, but a fairly longer. Like, it went down fairly early on Monday, like an extended one, because there was a lot of item changes, so a lot of database updates and stuff. And there was always the talk of, what do you do during downtime for those people who play all the time? And I brought up, and it was always one of those, it was a post like, some friends and I a long time ago had a Minecraft world that we would only play. It was our what to do when the servers were down.
Yeah.
And we would only fire it up and work on it when the servers were down, which was, this was a long time ago, but it was, fairly often there was a big, once a week there was a big patch for, 8 hours or so. It wasn't just like an hour every week, like WoW would go down but it was stuff like that. And we called it Patch World. And it like would only exist in very spurts of time every couple weeks.
Yeah.
And it was just fun. It was like a world that like only it was very old, but it very incrementally advanced when everybody would swarm in and work on it, but only for like when the servers were down.
Such a weird but wonderfully novel concept. Did you see Discord updated?
Yes. I immediately set it on the blackest black.
Yeah, same.
I did not realize how gray it was. But having an actual like good gaming monitor, I actually have blacks, and it's like, God damn it, give me an actual black.
Right. Man.
Same with like on iPhone, I did not realize like the Reddit app was a very light gray, and it's like, hey, I have an OLED phone. Give me an actual goddamn black. And they did.
Took a little while, but they did.
I also liked the what do you call it? Sparseness.
Yeah, the
compact
uncompact stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Getting to adjust your compactness, yeah.
For some people and some, if you've got a big screen, you want that bigger. You want more space in between it, or whatever. But if you got it's like, no, I want density. I want to be able to see more stuff on a small corner of the screen or whatever.
I am devoting less real estate to this. I'd like to get more out of it, please. Thank you. Yeah.
It was something I remember when Gmail did that a long time ago, when you added the do they still have it in there? Yeah. Default, comfortable, and compact.
Yeah.
And it's like, sometimes when I'm doing mass cleaning, I want compact mode because I don't care about empty space and padding. I need to see 70 things on the screen opposed to 20.
It makes a yeah. No, you pretty much nailed it. Discord updates in general, they usually bring more uncomfortable than they do useful.
Yeah.
And I like some of the new things they bring. I do. But they camouflage it by making everything move. Making all the actions for things move. Breaking your muscle memory. That's what they do.
Look,
they break your muscle memory.
They can break anything they want. They can set colors all they want. If they learn to figure out how to stop forgetting which fucking audio device I have selected in every goddamn update, store it somewhere where you don't forget which microphone device I have picked as my input. Because I know it's not I know Windows does this randomly, but that's a different problem because it also forgets which monitor is primary monitor one, but that's just a Windows problem. Discord, every other goddamn update, and it's got to be one engineer that bumps a version number on a config file, but doesn't write a progression, a migration thing to copy the old one. They just make a new version, but it only copies some. But another engineer does remember to do that.
Yeah.
I'm looking you Final Fantasy 14 devs who forget literally every other event. There's a place to store event items for holiday stuff. And there's a flag to say this can go in your armoire so it doesn't take up normal inventory. And every
see a store event items in your contacts.
every other event, they're a set right when the event starts, so you can get it, immediately put it away. Another one's like, oh, we'll add it to that in a future update. 19 weeks later, they remember to do it.
Yeah.
And it's literally every other event because it's a different dev. One of them remembers to do it and the other one doesn't. And I know that's what it's got to be happening on Discord, is they just forget to copy something.
Yeah. Something gets stuck in the wrong place because people... Yeah. I won't say we're not guilty of that too, and by we I do mean me specifically. Me, have done that a couple times too. But so it goes. Yeah. Big plans for things we're doing and things we want to do and all of that. And add them to my Goblin Tools tracker. I really like your idea of the rotator as a service, though. Have a link to a shared rotator. I'm
well. The biggest thing would be managing like the uploads.
Yeah.
As a service for outside people, like it'd be okay with us because we would know.
Yeah.
Serving stuff, but like doing it because you wouldn't want to upload them directly to that, and you have to serve them from like another domain because cross server bullshit. Instead, anytime you deal with uploading files from users, it is just a goddamn security nightmare.
Yeah. No, 100%.
Upload them from someplace and then move them to some other place to actually be served because you don't want to serve them directly out of where you're uploading, so you can delete them before they get, approve them. Blah blah. There's a whole air gapping thing you have to do with that. Trust me, I worked at Wikia.
You worked on the internet, yes.
I literally founded. I ran the janitors team that cleaned up horrible things from horrible people from user-generated content.
Yep.
I have seen things
that usually the company has to pay for therapy when you're exposed to them. Yeah.
They do now. Jobs like that,
mm-hmm.
they get forced therapy to get anytime you have jobs where like, hey, look, you have to sign this waiver. You're gonna see some horrible porn shit, or whatever the fancy word for
Guru
age content is.
Oh,
whatever that
yeah.
It CSF or there's a term for it.
Yeah.
But like people who do it, like there's like a whole like, hey, we're gonna check in on you because like this gets into your head, it can mess you up. And it's like, we used to do this underpaid and we had random volunteers cleaning this shit up.
Yeah.
Goat seat, as far as the eye could see.
Yeah. The one meme I've seen floating around is, we grew up in the early days of the internet. We had cool math games. We watched Homestar Runner. We saw a beheading at the age of 12. We had the advent of Flash games. Yeah.
It's like, look, I'm old. Like I had access to unfiltered, unregulated, direct internet feeds at the age, in my teens in the last millennia. Nothing you're going to show me can phase me now.
Yeah. You hit that point for sure where you're just absolutely steeped in it.
Like, what's wrong with your generation? It's like, world.
Yeah.
That is what's wrong. We had that as our entertainment. People talk about like, what was the internet like before YouTube? It's like something more chaotic than the Wild West.
Yeah.
We're talking like just even more unregulated. It's like, how did it just? It's terrifying to think of it now.
Yeah. And there's a definite line in the sand. I'm not trying to wax too political with this, but you can definitely tell a large gulf in the people who are like, we went through this and we turned out fine, so don't regulate it. And the people who are like, despite going through this, we turned out mostly okay, regulate it. You know? It's interesting to see what that can reveal about how a person approaches things. I'm split depending on the field and all of that about, whether things should be regulated more or less, whatever. I'm a huge supporter of yay freedom, but at the same time I don't want harm to come to people and bleep blop bloop blop bleep. Point is, that is a problem we run into with any user-generated content, absolutely. And boy, howdy, have I been involved in a lot of projects that have user-generated content. Boy, that's frustrating. Because there is no perfect solution with the exception of don't allow user-generated content.
Yeah.
That is the solution, hard stop. The rest of them, you have deterrent measures and some protection measures, but none of it's going to be foolproof. If you need an all-in-one solution, if you need a perfect solution, you don't let other people generate content. Hard stop.
This is, to be frank with anybody watching this is why we eventually killed off being able to do orders for Let's Cafe via the website.
Yeah.
Is we have that menu on there. Originally, you used to be able to click on there. The whole reason there was a QR code is you could scan it like you're watching it on a screen. You could scan that URL and it'll bring you to the menu, and you could click and put in an order without having to like type the words out from the menu. And then like you'd log in with Twitch on that web page, and you could just click the buttons to add them to your cart and buy it for the game, and it would go in the same way as if you typed it in chat. So you'd have to type stuff. Or if you're watching it collectively at like somebody's house, you just bring it up on your phone. And the thing we ran into was we realized since your username shows up as the customer on the stream as a character in the cafe, if you had a really offensive name, I could go in there, and we weren't checking at the time if you were banned from their chat, because you couldn't order if you were banned from chat because you couldn't type in the chat. But since we were just authenticating with Twitch and sending it to their game session, your username would still show up. So even if you had a super offensive username, which a lot of them can get through Twitch's filters,
Yeah.
your name, which even if it's not offensive, it could just be harassing to that person, would show up on the stream. And luckily we caught this before, like, my horrible mind, going back to, janitor cleanup. I'm like, you could harass or dox somebody with doing this and there'd be no way to stop it. And I'm like, well, if we keep it to chat only, you can block somebody in the chat or have certain pre-banned names, or, there's banned shared lists and Seribot and all stuff to catch that stuff. So if we keep it there, Twitch's moderation tools can do it. We don't have to build it in, and then we don't have to check, can they chat,
Right.
then send it through and all this. And it was like, okay, you know what? We're having to now strongly tie into their moderation, so let's just not do it.
Yeah.
And it was all because your username in and of itself is user generated content.
Yeah.
And that is something that people don't take in consideration when you have playing with viewers. If their profile picture shows up, or their username, but usernames are a little more, easier to filter in words, and Twitch does a pretty good job about that. But user profiles are harder to detect. They're easier now with, new AI tools and stuff. You can detect if it's just a pair of boobs or something. Like, that gets caught pretty easily. But like, if you have a game and you have their profile pictures show up even just like as their avatar. Or there was a mode for Let's Stream Marbles or whatever it's called, that it took your round profile picture and surface mapped it to your marble. So you would see your profile picture rolling along, and somebody's like, "Oh, this is a horrible idea," because you could just set your profile picture to anything
Yeah.
and it's just on stream.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, so we can have people's guesses, or like words on streams. Like, you can have people's guesses, but don't show their usernames. It's like there's a whole world of your username is generated content, and people don't think of that.
It was a short while ago, fortunately, but one of my dear friends and streamers, Cass, I saw firsthand examples of harassment via username in her chat.
Yep.
And
Yep.
you can gift a sub to anybody on Twitch. You can gift a sub to users that don't even exist.
No, they do it. They do exist.
Okay.
They have to exist. But there's so
many ways to, yeah.
You can gift subs to names that are permanently banned.
Yeah.
There are lists of offensive names that are permanently persona non grata on Twitch at all. Like, they are hardline banned, like forever, or disabled names, or like reserved names, but they exist and it's a valid ID, so it resolves, and they still haven't fixed that.
Yeah.
So even if you ban it, people are like, okay, fine, but you should be able to not, if it's banned in the chat, you shouldn't, if a name is banned, like let's say we ban Rootworm, nobody should be able to gift a sub to Rootworm in this chat.
Yeah.
They can give it to in other names, but it should check against that list because of things like Twitch alerts. Like, so, has gifted a sub to this. If somebody, has an offensive name and you ban that name, it should check that and just not refund it or something, refund it before it even goes through, like do it at the payment side.
Yeah, exactly. Or take their money anyway and give them the subscription and don't send a notification through the system. That way they can still have their money, and the idiot's still out their money, and they got exactly what they paid for, which is the subscription, and they just don't get the satisfaction of the alert.
There's potentially money issues with that, because you took their money but did not provide a service. There's like,
you still provide the gifts, the subscription itself. That part still goes through. The notification just doesn't. Because what you're paying for is not the notification in legal money changing hands terms. Your expectation is you'll get that. But that is not what is being sold, because there are a lot of streamers that don't have alerts. So they can say, oh, well, hey, you're not buying the alert because there's nothing that says the alert has to go through.
Or what you could do is say, hey, check it there. It's like, just to let you know, you were the target of your gift sub, Rootworm, is currently banned in that thing. They may not be able to take advantage of this sub. Are you sure you want to continue? That's a problem on user then. They have notified you that name is currently at the moment of purchase, and then allow it.
Yeah.
But that's something, they'd have to do that on on mobile, which is apparently a nightmare for them to update right now.
Yeah.
They're taking a sweet time doing things that they've done, like they are lagging way behind. We should go kick certain people and be like, hey, you okay over there? You need a dev?
You remember that's only half of mobile, though. Also, I think they might. I'll put you in touch. But the point is,
I don't do it.
I don't either.
But yeah, but they'd have to do it on the web and 2 different major platforms on mobile.
Yeah.
So getting that rolled out would just take a while. Ugh.
Yeah. I understand where a lot of those problems come from better with a little bit of firsthand knowledge that we've gained, and I thank you very much for highlighting it for me up front, because seeing is believing. You can tell me all you want, and I trust you. I absolutely do, and I will defer to your expertise. But the minute it happens, it is cemented in my head. So thank you for making me aware it could.
From my perspective, I have seen these things.
Yeah.
It is not hypothetical. It is, I have seen equally horrible things.
Yeah.
Anything that's user facing, every team should have a 12-year-old boy that's going to giggle at offensive things, and they should have a curmudgeon old man that doesn't like technology, so they can figure out where you're like, this is too confusing.
Yeah.
They don't have to listen to them, but they have to take that feedback.
They have to hear it and decide whether or not it matters to them, but they have to hear it from a person who is,
Anything you're going to name or have lettering on, run it by a 12-year-old boy and see if they giggle.
Mm-hmm.
If they do, don't do it.
Yeah.
Just don't do it before you figure out why they're giggling. Like the baseball hats. Have you heard this?
No, I haven't heard this one.
Major League Baseball came out with this.
Oh, the letter caps. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, the letter caps with the symbol over the thing, and like nobody, they just like, okay, load all the logos and like mass produce them, and nobody. The Texas hats are going for stupid amounts on eBay now.
Yeah. It's horrid in all the right ways. Yeah.
And there was another one, the Tatas one, and the Astros, the a-holes.
Yeah.
Is the other one they pulled. To like, did nobody look at them? There's only 24 of them. Just take 5 minutes and flip through them and see if you're putting letters over other letters. Let's just take a second to see if they form new words.
Magical, ain't it? It's impressive. It's wonderful, the things you can discover when you're not paying attention. Oh my.
That's the kind of stuff that, to go back to the beginning of the show, that's the kind of stuff that I'm catching at work. That like nobody even, it just doesn't, they don't even think of. It's stuff like the baseball hats. It's just like, hey, let's not do that.
Yeah.
Or hey, let's actually put the 147 cans of cream of mushroom soup we have in the back for some reason in the backlog system, so we don't ever order cream of mushroom soup for the next 2 years. And not even when you're going to have a sale on it and needed an entire extra end cap, don't order 6 cases of it for the end cap, because we have 40 flats of it in the back.
Many. Yeah. All right. I know we started a little late. I think we're still going to wrap on time, though, because I definitely need to find something to eat, and I'm sure you need to find something to eat before work, too.
Mm-hmm.
And we did just kind of breeze through our normal break time and everything, because, like I said, I overslept. I slept late for my job. My other job.
One second. I want to send you, forward you this picture so you can actually see what I'm talking about.
Oh my goodness. Is there anything identifiable in this? Let me
I wouldn't show it on screen.
Okay. That's a whole lot of green bean casserole, man. That's a whole lot of green bean casserole, I'll say that.
And randomly mixed in there were a few things of chicken noodle and cream of chicken.
Yeah.
We did not know how much of what. And then one day, like, can I just take like 30 minutes and go through the soup and sort it so we know what we have? He's like, I'm like, no, look, let me rephrase that. I'm going to go take the next half hour and I'm going to go sort the soup.
Yeah. Let's solve this problem now. Because otherwise, it remains a problem. Yeah.
Yes. I did that with the cereal Monday night.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anybody need 74 boxes of Honey Bunches of Oats almonds?
Yo, that stuff's good, actually. I will keep that in mind. I will
Look forward to a special one-day manager sale on it soon.
Here's hopeful. Here's hopeful. Here's hoping. I need to go get cereal.
I got a new barbecue sauce.
Oh, which one?
Black cherry chipotle.
I'm into it. All right. We'll wrap for now. Thank you all very much for joining us on the Blue House Bull Session. Happy to see you. We will catch you again probably... I'll be around Saturday for Multithon. I don't know what that does to Music Friday, but we'll be around this weekend. You know where to find us. Go look in the Discord. Go follow us in the Hergel Discord. Go join me on ICQ. Do all the things you got to do. We appreciate you. Much love to you. Be safe, be well, and we will catch you on the flip side.